Thank you, Madam Chairman. And Mr. President, thank you so much for coming to this committee meeting today and reiterating your support of human rights. It's only a shame that Baroness Ashton won't give us the same pleasure. You mentioned about women and the promotion of women, which is obviously very important, and we would all like to see the equality of women. Well, I challenge you to this morning to endorse a woman to be your successor. Since direct elections to this Parliament, we've only had 2 out of 13, and the last 4 have been men. So will you then, it should so occur if you really believe in equal opportunity, that your successor should be a woman, and you should openly endorse a woman to be your successor. I'd like to talk to you about China and the human rights abuses in China that continue to go on, despite European Union delegations to go there to try to get China to bail us out of the Eurozone crisis. Where do you think is the correct line that we engage with such regimes that still perpetrate the death penalty for the most trivial of offences, that still occupy other countries, yet we're willing to take their money? Is human rights for sale?
Friends, all the other questions, let me say, I can say only very shortly, I agree, nothing more. And especially if you ask about, human rights are for selling or not, is your question. Well, from point of view of diplomacy, let's say, sometimes it is difficult to avoid some contacts with even regimes. But we should always point out that the human rights is something absolutely fundamental for us. For example, I met all the leaders of China, or President Medvedev, but more or less half of our discussion was about human rights. If we want to influence them, we should not cut down all the contacts, because without contacts we cannot influence them. So I think you are right. They are not for selling. But on the other hand, we must be also very, very delicate if we want really to influence and to put human rights on the table as a most important issue for us. So it's a very complicated question, Madam. And I can agree with the general spirit of your presentation, of your question. But if we go to the details, sometimes it's not easy to answer. I have my own experience when I was responsible for my country 10 years ago. It was 60th anniversary of the Battle of Tobruk. It is in Libya. Battle of Tobruk, 1941, 60th anniversary. And many of my compatriots were being there forever. And it's a big cemetery there. And I went as a prime minister of my country to Libya. And I have done everything to avoid meeting with Gaddafi. And I was successful. It was not very, very, very easy. And I think for other readers, maybe it was even impossible to avoid shaking hands with Gaddafi. For me, I was successful. But it was absolutely incredible. And they were going after me to the desert, to the Tobruk, because they wanted to catch me and to make photo. And I tried to avoid it. But I was only successful, nothing else. And other leaders were not so successful as me. But I wanted to be there on the 60th anniversary of the Tobruk battle. So, you know, it's not so easy to answer. I wouldn't like to blame anybody in Europe who had to shake hands with Colonel Gaddafi. Well, taking money is a different thing, of course. So, as I said, Madam, it's a difficult question, and I don't think that I can answer fully on your question. But, of course, we should avoid to have a human rights for selling. I can agree.